It's a good idea. Just because they're selfish, people cannot. Still on Thursday, 3:30. Seems like for the word, it's just not by the time they do this plan. She's a blood nurse. And she doesn't even exercise.
Okay, we're gonna go ahead and get started. Appreciate everybody being here. And we're gonna ask Kevin Dale if he will lead us in a word of prayer before we start.
We're about, please. This evening, our most gracious Heavenly Father, we come first of all to you. Thank you, Father. Father, I want to thank you for this day, Father. Father, I want to thank you for everyone coming out tonight. Father, I ask you to be with this board and this mayor as we make decisions for this city and make the best decision for this city also, Father. Father, I ask you just looking on the sick and the shut in and the bereaved families all over this world, Father. Never leave this place, Father. I ask you to give us travel grace. In Jesus' name we pray.
Amen. Okay, we got a public hearing first on the list for a rezone of William Powell property at 202 Highway 15 South from R2 to C2. Is anybody here concerning that besides Mr. and Ms. Powell? Okay, if not, Eric, you got anything you want to say? Okay. All right, we need a motion by Keith, second by Amy. Any other questions or discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Okay, personal appearances by Grace Point Church of God for a sign variance appeal. Who's here for that?
Me.
Let me ask you.
Can I say something?
Yes, sir.
We appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Maybe you get a good night's sleep.
I want Chris to lock it up for about 2 weeks.
Yeah, so you'll get a good night's
He
sleep.
wakes up moving furniture. Like he's gonna have to do it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I've never done this, so I guess I can
Stand there, sit in your seat, whatever you want to do. Kind of informal here.
First of all, I appreciate y'all taking the time to hear me. I am the pastor of Grace Point Church of God, and I've asked for, went to the zoning board for a variance, I think, for a directional sign. And I went big. The original was for 5x8, which I knew was, shooting for the stars. During that meeting, the information was given to me per their opinion. We had almost agreed on a 3x5 sign, but because of personal opinion, they wanted me to have facts of the matter for having a sign. I've gotten with Greg Robbins, who owns the property in that intersection, and he's given me permission to put a sign behind the fence away from the right-of-way. But the zoning board stayed on the 2x2 directional sign, and I went and I've got friends in Chattanooga who own companies that do, they look at areas and reaching perspectives by signs and church growth. And they said on an average, only 2% would see that sign from a distance of 27 feet from that intersection. That 2x2 at 5 foot. The placement of our sign will not give us visibility for a 2x2. The zoning board was going to give us a 3x5, then in their own opinion of the intersection, denied me the variance and told me I would have to bring them the facts of the sign. Fact number one, a sign of said size would cause more confusion trying to read it and cause said sign to be a distraction. This is from the Brown and Associates Church Growth and Visibility out of Chattanooga, Tennessee. Fact two, the danger of said intersection, which was brought to my attention at the intersection of 22 and South Central, is by itself a design issue and not the fact of a church sign or any other business sign that would impede the traffic in that area. Our 3x5 sign would not affect on the traffic flow or a matter of causing a wreck. Fact number three, a 3x5 sign would make sign more visible for traffic coming through that intersection to make it more easy to see by 38%. Fact number four, the placement of this sign would increase the awareness of our church in New Albany for the first year by 31% with that 3x5 sign versus a 2x2 would only give us 6.3% visibility. And fact number five, the placement of a 5-foot maximum height on said ordinance of a 2x2 directional would not only be impeded by the fence of said property, that sign by 53%. So basically, putting it at 5 foot, that's the fence is at 4 foot 8 inches. So putting it at max height of 5 foot, you would not see that 2x2 behind the fence anyway. I gave you a picture of the cut down version of the 3x5 of where the actual location of the sign would be. The approximate height would be 7 foot 6 inches from top to the bottom of the sign. So it would be legible and readable from that distance of 27 feet. This sign by no means would cause a distraction per the opinion of the zoning board, causing more wrecks and impeding the flow of traffic in that area. The intersection itself is a nuisance and causing the wrecks, and not putting a sign there is not going to change the accidental rate in that intersection. So it is my request that you either A, help me find a sign ordinance, because reading through this sign and outdoor advertisement, I don't know where our church fits. It would be a said permanent sign that could be removed if the landowner wanted it moved without a lot of trouble. But it will be a permanent sign on 6x6 posts, because I do love the city and the city is great, so I wanted to put something in there that would only accent the city and not be an eyesore.
Okay, Eric, I have some questions, okay? So, what's this zoned, this area? Is it residential?
That is commercial zone.
It's commercial.
So we would be looking at a directional sign.
Directional sign in commercial. The reason, we spent months writing this new ordinance. It's not to cause problems for anybody. Everything that we considered safety, we considered beautification, we considered multiple things. We looked at sign ordinances all over America. We researched, we did everything. It's not, never would we do anything to cause, we're not trying to cause any problems, but we put a lot of work into that sign ordinance. To make a variance, one reason sometimes I'm hesitant to do a variance is everyone's gonna, that's been a concern in the past, is that if we do one variance, everybody's going to variance, but that's what we're here for, to make exceptions if we need to. So I have to ask you some questions for clarity. So Eric, we did directional signs 2x2 all over in every zone.
4 square.
Right, okay. And 3x5 is what this picture's of?
Yes, ma'am.
And it's a private landowner. Do you have any recommendation, Eric? You don't?
Eric, do you have anything in writing? I know the pastor said that it was okay from the landowner. say you put the sign out there? Do we have anything saying?
I can get it, if that is, I've just, between the Thanksgiving holidays, not using it as an excuse, but I'm not used to so many sicknesses and deaths that I had, so I didn't have a chance to even think about until it was like right today, and he was actually not in town.
The reason why I say that because there's, I don't know who it is, but somebody built roads of hate off that property
Yep.
right there. And if they damage your sign,
I'm gonna fix it.
Is it up against the fence?
Yes, sir. From my understanding and the guys that came down, and mind you, I put $300 of my own money for this company to come down, hotel room and some food, to get them to come down and look. By their notification, that is a DOT fence. So everything has to go behind the DOT fence. That fence is 4 foot 6 inches from top post down to the bottom. So anything past that would not impede view of traffic.
Well, I mean, yeah, I was just asking, was it immediately behind the fence? To stay out of the way of these guys hanging with a tractor or when they're bailing?
It's gonna be behind the fence. Greg just told me to keep it close enough to it to where they could mow. And I even told him that I would come in and weed it around that fence, where that sign's gonna be. One, I know it doesn't, with hay, it doesn't get mowed but like 2 or 3 times a year. And so I'd like to keep it clean and pretty right there where the sign's gonna be.
Now, 5 foot, Eric, is that to the top of the sign?
Top to the
Max
side.
height.
And you're
Well,
gonna
that
raise
would be
it
a
up
problem.
above the fence?
Yes, sir.
Why can't you put it flush with the fence on the outside of the fence?
Because that's DOT's fence. Anything like that would be infraction on their property.
Are you talking about locating it facing the corner of that cut through from Carter to South Central?
Yes, sir.
Which side? Facing Central?
Facing Central, since our church is down Central, I've got from that point, it's 1.3 miles to our church.
So if you came off of 78,
Yes, sir. And you turn left on South Central, you'll see it right there on that fence.
yeah, well, I can see why you would want to put it above first.
So are you trying to and this is another question, just from the research that we did when we were doing signs, where people don't use directional signs as much as they used to. They use Google Maps, they use Google, they use all these kind of things. So are you trying to show people that already are planning to come to your church where it is?
No.
Or trying to reach new people?
Being here for 2.5 years, okay, and I don't mean this in any disrespect, I'm Spanish in my own descent, but I'm known, every time people ask where I'm pastor at, I say Grace Point Church of God. They say, where is that? I say South Central, and they still look at me. And then when I say the church by the Mexican soccer fields, then everybody's like, oh yeah, we didn't even know that was a church. So I'm just trying to get us some notoriety, let people that are coming down see where the church is at. I've gone around and looked at other churches that are in the county, because even at the zoning board, the county, they gave me, ideas of church signs, but on that road, the average speed is 45 to 55. Give and take. I had a speed gun, and not because I've done 45, 55 on that road. And a 2x2 sign, 27 feet off the road, it's just behind the fence. I mean, we're wasting money. But a nice sign that's right above, whatever I have to do just to get right above the fence. Whatever that height is, 3 foot higher than that, just to get us above the fence to where everybody can see, and it's just that one sign.
So do you already have the sign made, or this is just imposed on the picture?
I don't have that sign. I already had some new inserts on our church sign that's similar to that.
But that's what it would look like.
Yes, sir. I know it looks like it's floating in the air, and it kind of is, but I will be putting 6x6 posts, painting them black, making sure that it's maintained. Because I've gone around for the past 2 months seeing signs, and I want to keep up with the beauty of what New Albany is, and I don't want y'all to have an eyesore. So we'll do whatever regulatory maintenance that we need to.
Eric, or either of you, you know how far it is off of the road here?
From the intersection right there to there is 27 and a half feet.
Eric, if somebody puts up a directional sign just normally, how close is it to the road?
It has to be 10 foot off the right of way.
All right, so this is about 3 times that distance.
Unless that's the fence is the right of way.
Typically, DOT fences are on the right of way.
Okay, the only reason I say that is the ordinance for variance says there has to be, the main condition is something special about that land. So I was wanting to know if this has to be farther back than the way we normally designed it
What is the special because of the MDOT?
because of the distance.
Yeah.
Yeah, because of the MDOT.
So that'd be about 3 times normal, I guess.
Normal city streets, if it's not a collector street, it's 50 foot right of way.
Center line.
From the center line, but the roadway is 24 feet from back curb to back curb. Which you would, half of what's up on each side for the right of way, and then collector street is 6 feet, just add 5 more to it. So you're probably another 10 foot or more bigger than the city street right of way.
It's not my ward.
Whose ward is it?
It is Kevin Dale's. And I honestly think I need to know a little more from the community. I mean, I don't think I can make this decision on my own. I don't know what, I mean, I think Kevin Dale probably needs to come check in with his ward. And I mean, I know it's a sign, it seems silly, let's just make the variance.
No, I've learned
It's a
in the
pretty
past
big-
2 months, New Albany and signs is like,
It's not just New Albany, it's all over, I promise you. It's not just New Albany.
Is that close to the Tanglefoot Trail?
Well,
Kind
It's
of,
on the Tanglefoot Trail.
it's right there
South
by,
on the Tanglefoot Trail, it's across that field.
so there's some beautification, I know there are probably some beautification concerns and also some directional concerns. When we were writing this directional signs, I was thinking more like the directional signs that the city of New Albany puts up, like we do directional signs. I never thought that other people put up directional signs. Is that something typical that?
Yeah, there's.
most churches do that are off of a main street. They'll have a directional, like a little arrow pointing that way. I don't know. I'm at y'all's mercy. I looked in regulation 112.3-20 talks about permanent signs. I don't know if you would consider this a permanent sign. But I mean, I think we fall under having the allowance of a permanent sign.
Well, it's on private property, so,
Permanent sign would be on the church property.
First church, right?
but I mean, this is Greg's property. He could put a, is that, I mean,
Well, but the church is not on that.
no, the church is
Oh,
on
it's
property. It
your
says, it's,
direction,
yeah,
so.
it's
Don't
written
get me
where,
anyway.
no, it's just, there's reasons for it.
I
though.
tell you what, if you'll get us written permission from Greg and let Kevin Dale talk to
Okay.
some of his community. I mean, I hate to put you off, at least you're not getting a no tonight.
No, that's true.
But, I think that would help a lot.
Okay, I can get with him, and I can have it back here by the end of the week. I mean, and get the written permission, and, I mean, if I need to ride with you, Mr. White, I'll ride with you. And,
Here, you got your information.
yeah, yes, sir. So,
And also if it's by the Tanglefoot, that's probably gonna be, we probably all need to check with people, so just to make sure. I mean, if my word's fine, then I'll be fine.
okay.
Whoever the guy is that Bill said, hey, we need his input also. But that's a big concern of mine.
That'd be, Hollis Rakestraw.
But if Greg said, then, okay, well, if,
So
I'm
it's
sorry to
not-
put you off, but we need to just get a little bit more information. I apologize, I really do. I know it seems, but we've got a big deal to change the landscape there.
Okay, let's move to departmental business, light, gas, and water.
Good morning. I just have one item tonight. I think most of y'all may have seen the signal lights been installed on the Coker Drive and Third. I think they look really nice. Y'all had a chance to check it out. It's kind of clean that intersection out. Anyway, during the course of construction, when they got ready to do the bases for the high mast arms, they ran into, I guess there were some design flaws. They just, when they started digging, they didn't work out the way it was supposed to. So, again, I guess it was one of those things that our engineers work with them all to get everything straightened out, but it amounts to a change order of $14,653. Get in order to get everything secured in the ground the way it needed to be. So, I guess they need to get a change order approved on the contract.
Got a motion by Johnny, have a second.
Second.
Second by Will, any other questions or discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
And I guess the second thing is to approve the pay request, because again, the job has been completed, and the total, I think I gave all y'all a copy of the pay request, $129,784.65 is the total.
Got a motion by Johnny, have a second. Second by Kevin Dale. Any other questions or discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
The other thing, I think it was a press release made today, I know Johnny sent me a message, and I think I heard Lynn mention as well, on our USDA on sewer project, so maybe more may come out on that. Maybe something out tonight or tomorrow, anyway. You know, we've known about it, but there's not been anything said about it, I guess, other than to us, so maybe news is breaking on that. Again, I think it was good news, and maybe looking for something on that early this week. Thank y'all.
Thanks.
Thanks, Bill. Community development. Bill and Jean.
I sent you my report, but I have a couple of things I want to talk about. It was brought to my attention that homecoming night, when they did the fireworks down at Park along the river, that there was lots of people down at that facility, and that there was people questioning the access road. So I'm just bringing it up again to see if we're going to do that, or, I mean, I don't know, do I need to ask somebody for a motion, or?
Yeah, I guess we need to.
I'll make a motion to build the access road.
Okay, we got a motion by Amy to have a second. Second by Kevin Dale. Any other questions or discussion?
Yeah, how much you gonna cost?
Yeah, the last time,
Well, according to Sam Creek, more it'd be less than 5,000.
It's
the
not
last
going
time
to be.
this was brought up, there was a motion made, I thought we were all gonna meet, look at the route of it, how many trees are gonna be cut.
We heard back from that.
Yeah, it was 4. He marked the trees. It was 4 trees, I think.
But we were supposed to go down there, and that never, Tracy, Billy Jean, y'all not recall that we were gonna meet with y'all and look at the route.
Oh, I thought y'all were going to do it on your own.
I did too. Because I was fine with it, because I had talked to
Yeah.
Sam. I mean, I knew how many trees, so I didn't have to go look.
I mean, it's a gravel road, and it goes along the Camp Creek, and then depending on how sturdy that bridge is, either direct it back out through Fred's.
The bridge is sturdy. We put a new top on it, so
Okay.
it's in good shape. And Lynn will correct you on that Camp Street. Won't you, Lynn?
Oh, yeah.
Town Creek.
Yeah, no, it's Creek
Oh, it's Camp Creek. Okay, I got it backwards.
I'm looking at it as a safety issue, you know?
Yeah. Well, it ain't safe.
That's the only reason I bring it up.
I mean, we're saying 5,000, I don't have any problem with that, but if it's 15,000, I got a problem with it.
Well, according to Sam, we asked him yesterday to do a rough estimate. He said less than 5.
Is it coming out of beautification? Or is it coming out of, no,
Side Street?
it's coming out of street? Okay.
Well,
So I guess can we alter the motion? I'll alter my motion that if it's more than 5, you come back to us and let us know.
yeah.
That I make a motion that we approve it up to 5,000.
We got a motion up to 5. Kevin, there you gonna second that up to 5. Any other questions or discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, and I sent you Orion Group scope of service contract that he has put together as far as a city plan, not a city planner, but a city plan. And he broke it down in segments. But I think we were all in agreement that when he did his presentation at the museum, that we need new codes. And the only way to get new codes is if you have a plan to put the codes to it. So unless we have a plan, we're just looking in la-la
I
land.
think the first round was like 14, wasn't
Yeah, about 18.
it? 18.
So.
I think we budgeted 40, so.
And I think it could go over 2-3 pay period, budget years.
Yeah.
But one thing he had said is, there's no reason to do phase one if you're not gonna, or phase 1 and 2 if you're not gonna go through with it. So-
Yeah,
So phase 1 and 2 ends up being about 50-ish.
yes.
Which goes over even into the next budget cycle,
Yeah.
if we had to. So we could approve just phase 1, phase 2, all of it, or
Approve up to 40? That's what's in the budget, I think.
Yeah.
Well,
Or however you
I
want to do
think
it.
all in agreement are that we need codes. Code, that's not even priced in this summary. It's in phase 4 and it's not priced.
It's not priced because it's going to depend upon what we decide in 1, 2, and 3. I called Bob, that was confusing to me too, and I called him right before this meeting. And I said, why is that not priced out? And he says, because you can't code it until you know what you're coding to. So, and he said in that contract I sent y'all, there was some tweaking that you could take out of it, the branding and, so you're really not gonna know until you get into, he did say at the most, he thought 120. That would give you a great plan,
With codes?
for everything, yeah, with codes.
Over a 3-year period.
Well, I just said, he said 2 to 3, so whatever y'all wanna do.
Well, I think that the codes are an important part of, obviously, why we want a plan, but I think everything else is important as well. We want a motion to move
Yeah,
forward with this, proceed.
to accept this scope of services.
We don't have to determine tonight how many years, do we?
Oh, no, that's,
Okay.
yeah, you're gonna hire him and,
Well, you know everything get through until you start.
and we all saw the code, it's just a book with the words.
Yeah, I like the little drawings he had over at the museum.
Yeah.
Very easy, a lot easier to understand.
And I just bought this just for, this is the City of Baldwin 2008, they had it done, and you can see, it's,
Yeah.
we don't have anything like that. So,
You let Terry look at that?
Which part of this are you asking for approval?
all of it's the scope of services,
Over 3 years.
yeah. And it could cross budget years, he said.
Is he going to present a written contract? I would say that he probably
Did I
would.
send that to you?
I haven't seen it.
Y'all got it, didn't you? Yeah, I thought I added you to that.
That's what this is, what you sent us,
Yes.
is the actual
Contract.
Yeah,
contract.
scope of services to get it started, to get
For the
a,
first 3 phases.
yeah.
Phase 4, which includes the codes.
You'd have to plan 1
not
through
priced.
3.
So that could change. Phase 4 scope is dependent on the Albany's adopted planning initiatives. And the scope and fee is to be determined after the plan is complete for phase 4.
Is there a way for them to give you, I'm actually all for the entire thing, and after listening to that meeting and running into the issues that I have in older neighborhoods trying to redevelop things, the new codes definitely do need to be written, but I'd hate to see y'all throw $40,000, $50,000 like you don't plan on doing the rest of it later, if this isn't just anything but pretty pictures and words. I'm all for y'all spending the whole 120 to get the whole thing done, but you might want to consider whether or not you're all going to agree to do the whole thing before you spend part of it and don't get anything for it.
Well, as he said in the museum, we have investors coming into this town. They're gonna turn away because they don't have anything modern to base their investment on.
I mean, I'm all for this, but I know there's some reluctance on it. I mean, what do we need to talk about on this that, I mean, there's no way to say that the codes are gonna cost, we don't know what the codes will ultimately cost or having the codes done.
Can you ask for a hard number?
He said no more than 120 total.
But he says you can't write codes until you know how deep our plan's gonna be. What do we want to do in the plan?
And if y'all would like to talk, I mean, if he needs to come and talk to us as a board, I mean, we could do that if we need to before we approve this. I mean, if that's what, if anybody, if people have more questions for him on specific numbers, I totally get it. I mean, I just know there's not a prospering, growing town around us that doesn't have a plan or a blueprint for growth.
I mean,
So we.
all our surrounding
I
areas.
just feel like we've been wasting a lot of taxpayer money on making a decision here, a decision here, a decision here, a decision here. I mean, I'm to blame for this too. And I want to have something to guide me.
I respectfully disagree with you.
Okay. Yeah.
What, you disagree with what part of it?
We've been spinning our wheels and haven't done anything.
No, that's not what I said.
what she said.
That's not what I
That's the way I
said.
interpreted it.
I'm just saying, I feel like I have been wasting, I feel like I make a decision and then later think, oh wait, that might not have been right. And then I'll make another decision. I'd just rather have something to guide me. I feel like I'm making decisions without an overall plan. I don't think we're spinning our wheels. I think we do a good job. I think we could do a better job.
Excellent job.
I think it's more like a blueprint for the future, what we're gonna do, you know?
It's fine, but, you know, if the blueprint said, and this was the problem we had back in '97 when we did the first time. You can have all these pie in the sky ideas, but with the tax base we have, we've got to make a set of priorities and say, okay, we can do this, we can't do that. You know, you can't bury every power line in New Albany, and I don't know if that's what he's gonna tell us to do, but if he does, then it's gonna be, it's not gonna be economically feasible to do that. And
I think
and
he
a lot of
knows.
other things, you know.
Yeah, I think he told us that, you know, that's the whole purpose of the community group and the core and hashing it all out. I will say that he has used those previous plans, and he's gonna use a lot of the data in that to make it more modern.
And he's gonna work with the M partners, I think, too, right? And
Yes.
like utilize the whole, just bring it all together.
Yeah, but I mean.
I hope, I mean, I might be wrong, I mean, that's just kind of my vision of what it would be. Just talking to the different Baldwin and Corinth and other places that have done it, it's been worth the money is what they've said.
I mean, if you don't do this, hey.
120 Is it 120 on top of the 90 that he's got in here, or is it 120 total?
Total.
For all four phases?
He said for 120, you can get you a nice plan.
And he said, I mean,
I really like him, but he.
Over 3 years, it'd be
Yeah.
40 a year.
And I remember the current mayor telling me he was just as hesitant and didn't want to. And first he said, okay, maybe just one phase, and then he was like, wait a minute, we need this whole thing.
I talked to him, and he was just about what he told you. I really hesitant, but I'm so glad we did it in the end.
I'm of the opinion, as far as the money, as far as return on investment, your point of all the suggestions we don't have a tax base to do from a public standpoint, using public money, I do think that the city would be able to recoup their investment just from the private side of it in areas like on North Side. I used to know it by heart, but I think there's 59 vacant lots that are non-conforming. And to be able to go in there and redevelop those lots, you have to ask for variances, and the variance requires that you can only build something in the exact footprint of what used to be there. And if what used to be there is not there anymore, you don't really have a good way of determining that. And it is a hard process that costs a lot of money to go through, and a lot of times you don't get approvals on. Just things like that, opening up residential lots in other areas to where people like myself and other developers could go in and actually do something with the vacant land that's there. I just built a house on Garfield Street, a couple on Butler Avenue, and on Garfield Street, that was a vacant lot that just happened to be conforming, and I bought it because I wouldn't have to go through any of the process, but y'all gonna get, the taxes that I'll pay on it's a little over $1,000 a year, so just all over town, just the ability to be able to develop things that we can't now because the codes aren't in place, you'll eventually recoup your $120,000.
I don't have a problem with 120, that's not my point. My point is, if, as long as we know going in that there's some things that he may suggest that we're not.
Yeah, and I think that's.
With the tax base we have.
And that's the way I look at it too. And that would be an advertising thing of letting people know that this is kind of the best case scenario, pie in the sky. We can't do all of it, but what we can do is worth the money. But I personally I'm not real how on spending 40 or 50 or whatever it is to do one or two, if y'all don't intend on spending the rest of it. To me, that is a waste of money if you don't do the whole thing. I'd rather not do anything or do it all.
I think 120,000 is doable over 3 years. I don't think that's a problem at all.
And honestly, you would get your money back just from the organic development that you'd be able to do.
And I totally agree with you, Joni. I want it to be realistic too. Like, I don't want it to be something that's, we can't, so some things might not happen. It might be just like something that'll happen 20, because isn't it gonna be like a 2050 plan or like the next 20 years or
Yeah,
something like
it's
that?
supposed to be good for 20 years, and I did receive a file today from Slaughter that has all the mapping in it electronically, and he told me that would cut costs there if he could get his hands on that. So,
And the big thing it'll do too is that it won't force y'all or require y'all to do anything yourselves, actually spend any city money on improving anything, but it'll force someone like me to adhere to the requirements on everything that's being built going forward. So even if you don't correct any of the old stuff, it will make it to where you don't add to what we already have as an existing problem. And then the organic, money that you'll bring in from residential development on vacant lots and stuff like that. I mean, right now, y'all probably spend money mowing those lots, and I'm sure you tack it onto the tax bill, but if they're not gonna pay the mowing fee, they're probably not gonna pay the taxes either. And I mean, I could see where if the city didn't spend a penny to implement anything on the plan, just how it would affect private development would not only get your $120,000 back, but it would stop the bleeding in regard to more overhead power lines getting put in, all those things. So if I can't put in overhead, and I know it from the beginning when I'm developing something, then I'm gonna go underground because I'm forced to. And you just make that part of your budget and you go on about doing it. But if the ability to go overhead's there and it saves me money, any developer that, has got a tight budget on anything will start considering those things. And if you take the option away, they won't be able to. And most commercial businesses and developments, they're not gonna look at what those code changes are as something restricting, because we deal with them everywhere else.
They're gonna be glad, right? I think, right?
But I mean, if you spend 40 or 50 on phase 1 or 2 and don't do the rest of it, you just threw that money away. And that's what I would be against completely, because that money could go towards a lot of things.
I make the motion that we implement this OPD service agreement with the city of New Albany.
I got a motion by Keith
A second.
to proceed, second by Amy. Any other questions or discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carried. That it?
That's it.
Thank you. UCDA. Bill?
For once, I'm not coming to ask for anything. I don't need a sign ordinance change. I don't need money from you yet. Well, my report is this: UCDA continues in its efforts to assist educators in the area with the development of a trained workforce to meet the current needs of local industry as well as potential needs of new industries and commercial ventures. That's the biggest, number one thing that industry coming in questions first: workforce. One part of this effort is the development of a program to gather training and support information for students and parents in the city and county. This plan is being developed with the support of the Create Foundation and the 2 career coaches for New Albany City and Union County schools. These 2 coaches are part of the Toyota Wellspring Education Fund project. The mission of REACH, and that's our program, is simply to create a resource through which existing and future resources can be made known and available to educators, businesses, industry, parents, and students. There's a wealth of opportunity through various existing programs to assist any student in reaching a career goal and building a fruitful life. Presently, these programs include Gateway in-school and out-of-school programs, that's through Three Rivers Planning and Development District, Impacto in the city schools, Work Keys, MDES, Win Job Centers, MDRS Community College Tuition Grant Programs, and the Woodland Heights Get to College Help Grants, just to name a few. We will be developing internships and externships with local industry and commercial entities to make them available to students who would qualify. To facilitate this program, the committee is developing a presentation piece that will be made available to all the mentioned parties through the 11 career coaches, all pool school administrators, and on various digital media. Parent-student awareness meetings will be scheduled as appropriate to introduce and explain the many options that exist. The measure of this effort is the effect it has on the number of students entering the workforce who have a basic set of skills and are ready to work. It is our plan to unveil the program in the early spring. Now that's a lot of verbiage about what's going on. But through interviews with various agencies and entities who provide help to students, I realized that I didn't know all of them. You won't know all of them. And especially uninformed parents will not know all the things that are available to kids today. Doctors, lawyers, and Indian chiefs are going to go to 4-year college. What about the kid that's not ready to go to 4-year college? He needs to learn work skills to be available to go to work. Several years ago, a welding lab was put in Tishomingo County and started rotation of classes of 8 welders per class. To follow up on that program, they went back to one of the guys who had graduated 2 or 3 years earlier, who had dropped out of high school and got his GED, got into this program. And they asked him, well, how are you doing? Well, I'm doing great, love my work. Well, let me be personal, what's your income? And he said, well, 4 or with overtime or what? He said, not just what's your average income? He said about $140,000 a year as a welder. That's pretty good. That beats drawing unemployment. And that's where he would have been had he not had some of these programs. I didn't know they existed. Other people don't know they exist. So that's the significance of it. To bring all that information into a usable, tactile resource center so that every student will know about it. It's significant. In my new role as president of the Magnolia Civic Center Board of Directors, I've begun the process of revisiting the work agreement with the center director and setting measurable goals for this director. Not so much me, but the board. There's much to be done, but New Albany has a gemstone in the facility, and the board's desire is to see it used to the greatest advantage for the citizens of the city and county. Lighting has been updated, and minor repairs are made as needed. A leak has developed in the North Annex roof through this last monsoon that will be repaired tomorrow. Speaking of the roof, let me say thank you to the board for putting us a new roof on the main part of the facility. It's wonderful. At last, we seem to be dry. This year, Christmas at the Magnolia will feature a live taping of the K-Bang Christmas special for airing on WTVA this season. Tickets will soon be available for that. I continue to consult with our engineering company about helping us find funding for the Glenfield Overpass project. It's not been in the talk circulation lately because there are no dollars there to do it yet. But we have not given up on that. Any questions on that roof report?
Is the leak in the part that we fixed or?
No, it's in one of the little side streets. it's in the annex. It's in the annex. And it's a metal roof and probably screws are loose and over so they're gonna come work on it. Thank you.
Bill, I have a quick question.
That's where they're going to spend that money. That's the minutes of the board.
As the new MCC director?
Yes.
Is Brittany Baker still employed?
Yes, she is.
Okay, and she's still part-time?
Yes, she is.
And tell me exactly what she's doing.
Well, that's what we're revisiting with her. We wrote a detailed job description for her. I'm not sure that it's been fully presented to her. And so we're gonna go back to square one. To be fair to her, to be fair to the board, to be fair to the citizens, we're gonna say, this is what's expected of you. Do you agree to that? Or is this what you're doing or not capable of doing?
Okay.
We're gonna revisit all of that and then put checklists together where she says, this is what I'm doing. There has been question about the number of hours that she's in the facility. She's now in the facility full 19 and a half hours a week.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Are you the director of the facility or just the chairman of the board?
Chairman of the board. Brittany Baker is the director of the facility. She's been out on maternity leave and then 2 weeks ago had an emergency appendectomy. So that's one reason she hasn't been in the last several weeks. Okay. Other questions for me? Thank you so much.
Thank you. Police department. Did you get in?
No.
Okay, thank you. Fire department, chief.
We have a position opening over there at the fire department. This is a resignation of one of our firefighters that was effective November the 10th. We're going to present John Weatherly. I sent that to you in an email, I think, last week. John previously worked with us before. He left. He's been back with us part-time. John's certified. Numerous certifications that we've seen through and everything, so that's what we're looking at.
Got a motion by Johnny, to have a second with Kevin Dale. Any other questions or discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Steve.
Building inspector.
I emailed the monthly report to y'all. We didn't have a zoning meeting. And on the code enforcement side, permits have been pulled on the 902 Sunset House that was condemned in Kevin Dale's ward. So they started work to repair it. About all I got.
All right, thank you. Let's move to general city business. Item A is approval of correction of claims dockets for November 2018. Motion by Kevin Dale, second by Amy. Any other questions or discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Item B is to approve November the 6th minutes. Motion by Amy, have a second. Second by Will. Any other questions or discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, railroad bridge repair on Snyder Street. Okay, no update. Starling Avenue, Highway 30 traffic. Nothing new to report. Item E is to approve request for cash number 1 of airport terminal building project. From ARC for $26,833. $883 from Gardner Engineering. Motion by Will, have a second. Second by Keith. Any other questions or discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item F is to approve a letter to execute services of Jackson and Creighton for management discussion and analysis portion of audit. Something we do yearly. Motion by Johnny, to have a second by Will. Any other questions or discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Item G is to approve the resolution to Mississippi House Representative in Mississippi State. EPA provide high-speed internet service. That's something, request from Brandon Presley, Commissioner of Agriculture, Public Service. And what they're gonna do is try to get some more high-speed internet services to come in service the area, but they got, need the House to pass a bill, a resolution basically saying they're okay with it.
This is for utility services, right?
Mhm.
Bill, how do you feel about that?
You know, I think what they're trying to do with the bill is a good thing, because there are so many rural areas that don't have access to high-speed internet. And I think it's mainly targeted for the co-ops. We're kind of a unique animal, because we have sort of a co-op footprint with some rural area, but I guess the unique thing about our area, New Albany, Myrtle, Richard, Black Potts, Camp, Blue Mountain, Blue Springs, they all have cable internet there, so they basically have access to high-speed internet. So I guess in our situation, this is just kind of off the top of my head, yes, probably 75% of our customers probably have high-speed internet access. But I don't think we'd want to get in a situation where we're trying to compete with Max South or AT&T, but if we did have a pocket of customers, you know, a substantial area that made sense to serve, I guess this would give us and co-ops the ability to serve those. You know, I don't necessarily think that we need to get in the business of competing with the other folks, but if we did have an area where we already had infrastructure in place and we could provide the service at a reasonable rate and, you know, not necessarily make money, but, you know, not lose money on it,